starts from the Quran, right? Surah 65, ayah 4. That's where it's permissible to have sex with someone who's not yet reached puberty. You're aware of that?
Right, right, okay. Tell me one thing. So,
yeah, but do you know about that?
No, but what goes on in their tribe and what is acceptable
so
by them?
It's relativism then,
right?
isn't it?
It's what's acceptable by them.
You're a theist.
It's down to them.
You're a theist. You're not meant to be making moral relativistic arguments for morality.
But then, right.
If you're getting choked, right, by someone who's telling you to read something when you cannot read, I'm probably going to think that's something bad, right? Because when Muhammad is told something, it's included in the Quran. There are many cases of that. And people record that was a situation in which the revelation came down.
So we just have to leave that for the Day of Judgment.
Right, okay, but the point is that I don't think God, even in the Islamic tradition, did tell Muhammad to do this. I think Muhammad just did this.
Iceman, we're rolling.
Alright then, okay. So I'm just going to give you a response to that. Okay, so first of all, the Sunni traditional perspective, which is held by the vast majority of Muslims, including Muslim scholars, like Dr. Yasser Qadhi, for example, he's one. But there are others as well, including traditional Muslims, like Al-Tabari. Al-Tabari, in his history of Al-Tabari, because he was a historian, in the 10th century, he wrote about this and he affirmed that, yes, Aisha did have sex with Muhammad when she was 9 years old. Okay. In fact, Muhammad betrothed her at 6, waited that 3-year period because he was looking for a bridal gift, according to Al-Tabari. Okay. And then eventually, Abu Bakr, Aisha's father, gives Muhammad the bridal gift to give to her, and then they consummate the marriage. And she says that she was 9 when that happened. And that's quoting from a historian directly, right? And one of the most trusted ones of Islam. So the idea that you can later say, oh, well, actually, there are all these issues, sure, I don't think that's very convincing, and I think it's quite obviously a way of trying to get out of this issue. What you're doing is you're, in effect, taking the greatest of Sahih hadith, and you're throwing it under the bus. You know, I think if you were prepared to do that, but then you cannot consider yourself a Muslim in the orthodox sense if you do that.
It's not about considering myself as... Sorry, let's move a little bit closer because
okay,
their voice is also intervening.
No worries, man.
Let's stand by there.
Yeah.
Stand by there,
yeah. So basically, right. The thing is, what you're saying, you're right. There is... sorry, where was I going to say? Yeah, Sahih Bukhari.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, you do have a point.
Okay.
Right? You're saying, you throw it, about throwing it under the bus.
Yeah, because it's mutawatir.
Right,
yeah.
But the problem is, look, there's a hadith of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, where he's saying there's going to be one sect of Muslims that's going to be entering the Jannah.
Yeah.
There's going to be one sect of Christians that's going to be entering the Jannah. And there's going to be one sect of Jews that's going to be entering the Jannah. Right?
Okay, yeah.
Now all these, this is in hadith.
Yep.
Now which of those one sect with the correct formation of the belief is there, only we will find out on the Day of Judgment. It's not for us.
Well,
it's not for us
implied,
to dabble in.
Well,
it's not for us to dabble in.
There's a bit more to it than that.
Are you telling me certain, I don't want to mention it without offending anybody, I'm sure there are certain sects of Christianity that you guys disagree with.
Right, yeah. We don't have this idea that there's a narration that only one gets into heaven.
Now, just because one, same thing is with is in Islam. There are certain imams that say certain things, and we don't agree. We don't agree with that.
So you don't agree with that hadith that says that only one sect of Islam will actually enter Jannah?
No, I do agree with that.
You do agree with that?
Yeah, because
okay.
that hadith is
so
from
my
Prophet
understanding.
Muhammad. It's from Prophet Muhammad.
Well, okay, but so is the stuff about that has a narration going back to Aisha.
Yeah, but historians, like I said, no, that hadith.
There's multiple ones. So multiple chains.
No. Right, that hadith. It's you got to go back from the person when the Bukhari was being written. So, as it's mentioned that Aisha is mentioning her age. She's telling about herself. Yeah. Right. So that's from Bibi Aisha. Right?
Well, 9-year-old Aisha. Similarly.
Well, if you, like I said, some say 12, some say 6, some say 9. I've
only ever seen 6, 7 and 9.
Buddy, these 3 I've heard, and the 2 more that, there's actually 3 more I've heard after that.
Can you quote them to me?
Right, so one's mentioning 6.
I mean, like the reference, like where I can find it.
I'm not an expert.
Okay, but if you can't reference it, it's useless. No, I can find every single thing we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I know, but so can I.
Okay, but like, you do that for me.
But then you'd have every few seconds you're going to let me go. I'm not.
Well, my point is that if I quote something, I expect you to say, "Show me that quote," because that's only fair. Right, and if I'm trustworthy, I can bring it out and I can show you the quotes. I can do that for everything I've said so far.
Like I said, but when it comes to her age, there is 3 to 6 different versions. Like I said, listen. I'm telling you what I have heard.
I know.
From
I've studied this as well.
Right,
I tell you
6,
this.
9, 12, 18, as well as as well as the historians jump in to beg to differ. So they are jumping in to say...
The
well,
early historians
right?
had no problem with her being 6 when she was betrothed and 9 when she was married. So they have no
Okay.
issue with that.
Right. If there's not being an issue, okay, how old was Mary when...
What do you think?
what do you think?
I don't think we don't know. So what do you think?
Okay, so all right, so we go with we don't know on that. So
But we don't know. Like,
so-
what is the reason I say I don't know is because we don't have a text from Scripture that tells us.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's go
Right.
with the text that does say from the scripture, which is
What's
the first initial question that I brought out.
Right.
Jesus saying, "Go and take the girls, prepubescent."
Okay, so we're jumping
Which
around
are-
a little bit here.
Well-
I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah,
That's what I was
okay,
originally
so-
engaging
so-
with.
so let's-
but let's
so yeah.
finish this and then we can go on to that one. So,
So the two are connected because, like I said, the
Oh,
initial.
I'm not sure how, but-
well, yeah. What I was saying is the reason why she's calling the names that she's calling.
right.
What about if we turn around? Right.
I don't know
okay,
what she was calling, by the way. I wasn't
Don't
literally,
you
I don't
know
know.
what
I
she
assume you're
was calling?
referring to the blonde lady there, but I don't
Okay.
know.
Right.
I
So
don't know.
let's see what you were going to say.
Okay, so my point is this. It's not a contested or even controversial issue within Islam, the age of Aisha. It simply isn't. That's a modern idea. The reason it became a modern idea is because the internet came about and more people became familiar with these hadiths, and people were being asked to give responses to this because they know in their hearts there is something not quite right with that. And so they had to look back and they had to start questioning, and they had to, I mean, like Dr. Joshua Little, for example, he's a Muslim who's an expert in the science of hadith, and he basically throws all of the hadith under the bus. He actually gives arguments that explain why you can't trust hadith at all. And that's his way, in particular, in this context, of getting out the issues with Aisha. He says they're unreliable narrations.
But there are
Yeah.
certain things which I leave.
But that's a modern
Yeah,
thing. He's
but-
around today doing this.
Yeah, all
he
I'm-
wouldn't have been around 1,000 years doing this.
No, I'm sure that's the
Right.
case. But what I'm
Okay.
saying is, I'm sure there are certain things that that about a certain truth that we will only find on the day of judgment, right? What the
Right,
actual
okay.
truth is.
But my point is that if you start questioning the age of Aisha, you
Right.
genuinely start saying that's something that you doubt, you are now taking the whole science of hadith and you are basically putting a fundamental wedge in it and saying we can't trust this. And if you can't trust that, it calls into question everything else. And if it calls into question everything else, we don't really know much about Muhammad at all.
I
We don't really know much about the Quran at all. We don't know how it was revealed, the context, because the context you largely get from hadith.
The real Quran.
Where is the hadith?
Right,
Sahih
right,
Bukhari, Sahih Muslim.
There's a 1400 in Birmingham Museum. You've got a 1400-year-old carbon.
You talk about the
Quran.
Birmingham. We can talk about that as well if you'd like to.
Right.
But the
you
next
still
point.
haven't answered what I initially came
What was
here
that?
for, which
What
was
that? Oh, the numbers 31, 17, 18 thing.
right.
Okay, so the problem I have with this is that as a Muslim, you have the same thing in the Quran, so I don't really understand where you're coming from.
It's not about where I'm coming from. It's what I'm saying is on one place it's okay to right. You guys are out there. Well, that whoever.
So
that,
first of all, the issue with numbers 31, 17, and 18 is mass death, quite literally extermination of tribes. That's what it is. You understand, right? That's the issue with it. But the same thing happens in the Quran.
right.
So what's the issue?
No, the issue. Right. So you didn't understand my question then.
Because I can defend this from a moral perspective, and I'll call into the authority of God,
So how
divine
come- so how-
command theory,
so-
how we understand
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Because
so-
God has the right to decide,
My
knowing all
initial
things
que-
and
yeah,
being
my
all
initial
benevolent to
question
do
was
that.
I was a bit triggered
Right.
off with that lady.
Okay.
Right. With,
Sure.
with all the name calling that she was doing to Prophet
Okay, all right.
Muhammad and disrespect.
That's fine. We can move past that. You know,
Right.
I don't need to
So-
defend
so-
her. She don't need to defend you
Yeah.
or anything, whatever.
So
Right.
so obviously, like I said, with all the screaming going on, my initial question from
Yeah.
this gentleman in which you came in was
Yeah.
that okay, if this let's put Jesus on the podium,
Sure,
and if
yeah.
Jesus is the God, well,
Yeah. Then also he would have been the Lord at the same time in numbers
at the
31,
same time
17.
as well, and
Yep.
then how come he's turning around and saying, take all the prepubescent girls and
And what?
take all the girls who have not known men for yourselves?
To do what?
Well, what do you think?
But what do you think?
Oh,
Because I have a funny feeling you have an implicit thing that you're thinking.
okay, so
Right.
go on.
So you see, the thing is I've actually read the chapters before. So if you look at Numbers 25, for example,
Okay.
it makes it clear exactly why this war happened,
Okay.
and it makes it clear it was largely because of a curse that the people of Midianites they came and they cursed the Israelites, yeah, and it led to 24, I believe it's 24,000 of them dying.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Now some scholars actually think they're describing a sexually transmitted disease because the context of it is that the Midianite women are going out and intentionally luring the Israelite men into having sex with them, right, in very demonic and evil rituals. And they believe that might have been a sexually transmitted disease that killed a lot of Israelites. Now, the context of Numbers 31 is divine retribution against the Midianites for what they have done.
Okay.
Okay?
So like I said,
let me. Wait, I'm not finished.
yeah.
I'm almost there. I'm almost there. So when you get to verse 17, 18, where it talks about taking those who have not known men for yourselves, it is not saying you need to enact divine punishment on this group because they were having sex with you when they shouldn't have been, so you can then have sex with them. That makes no sense. God would not tell them to enact divine vengeance because of the unwanted sexual behavior to then have sexual behavior. That's literally defeating the entire point of the war. The point of the war is to stop the sexual behavior. So you will not take the ones who have not known man. Why do you think that it says not known man?
Okay.
Because that means the ones who are not guilty of luring these people in to have sex with them, right? So obviously you wouldn't then have sex with them because that defeats the entire point.
Right.
Right. So that's the context.
Okay.
Okay. So hopefully that helps a little bit in understanding why this is.
Yeah. Now,
So the passage isn't saying go have sex with them.
No. What I'm saying is
It does, however, talk about killing them.
right. No. What I was going to say was, like I said,
Like those that aren't the
so
women
when we
that don't know
give,
man.
so when you've got Muslim experts here,
Yeah.
and like I said, I'm only an amateur.
That's fine. That's
So
fine.
when Muslim
Hey, peace with you,
experts
brother. Oh, yeah, I'm doing
Love
good.
your videos. Keep it
Oh, thank you, man. Much appreciated. Oh, good stuff.
When they are giving you the context,
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
right? Any context they get, they
you see-
get given, it gets. Oh no.
Brother in humanity. I've heard the context.
Let's take whatever it's saying literally. Let's take it literally.
Well, there are Salafis that insist you take the Quran literally for one thing, and the Hadith literally. So
But
first of
it
all, that's not me coming up with that, even if I did say that. But my point is I give Muslims the benefit of the doubt when I listen. I've debated many different Muslim scholars or experts, whatever you want to call them, da'is, in this park. They can't give answers to the issue of Aisha. Most of them just double down and say, yes, it was 9 years old, but you know what? Like that was back then, and
She was mentally mature.
well,
she was mentally mature. Like that's the kind of things I'll say.
right. No, that's fine. Now the thing is,
That's the context that they give us.
well,
yeah.
That's the context they give you. Is well, like
Let's
I said,
talk
this-
about Mary, because you brought that up as well. Because you brought up a few things. I'd like to address each one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you talk about Mary. You're aware that in the scripture, in our scripture, the Bible, it has no age of Mary. There's no age of Mary when
Is there an
she...
age for Rebecca?
No. Well, it depends. What you're getting at with that is the idea that she was 3 years old when she married. But that, it doesn't say that explicitly either. It's inferred. Basically, the Bible implies a period of time
Yeah.
passes by,
So-
but Muslims basically go, actually, we're just going to pretend that no time passed by, so it was immediate. Which is why that's false. You would also have to believe at the age of 3 she was carrying large buckets of water, like long distances, which is seems unlikely, right?
Well, exactly. Seems to be unlikely.
Right, so the context for that is incorrect.
So we are meant to follow the context.
Exactly, which is what we do also
Vice versa, we
with Aisha.
Listen, when
Yeah.
I studied and I looked in depth of Aisha as
Okay,
well,
right.
there's so many different patterns that I have seen which do not, like I said, historians.
Yeah, but
beg
you're
to
aware that
differ.
it's quoted, and I'm pretty sure all 6 of the most authentic books of Hadith each mention it in some form.
They do, but then at the same
It's mutawatir.
right, okay. Do this for me, man.
Hmm.
Go on at some point in your own leisure, right? Because it's not an answer that I need right away. And I'm not here to challenge. Like I said, I'm an amateur. I'm not a,
Sure.
Have a look at how people back then. Mainly, there was a particular tribe of Jews that used to refer to their ages starting from the menstrual cycle.
Sure.
So, for example, if you started your time at if the girls started their time of the month
Yeah.
at the age of 11 or at the age of 10 or 12 or whatever age they start from,
Yeah.
they started counting one from that. There was a particular tribe that used to do that as well.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So when you go up to a 16-year-old who's already had 6 cycles of that, they would go turn around and they would refer
Right.
as their age, a 16-year-old.
But that's not the early understanding of the Muslim community.
No, not of Muslim community. Like I said, there was
Yeah, but I
a
know,
particular.
but fine, there could be,
Right,
but
there
that's
could
not
be.
relevant to this.
So
though.
no. So that
Yeah.
is one of the things. Like I said, when you try to start putting all these jigsaws together,
Which
they
is
are-
what I've done.
Yeah, which, like I said, these are the crucial points which does not affect your. See there again. There she is, the nutcase. Right. That's the one I was talking.
Oh,
about.
that's the one. Oh, okay.
Right.
I thought it was someone else.
No.
Right.
Right. So, you see, this is where. So one saying that okay, the reason why she says 6 is because at the age of 16, at that time there was girls who used to refer to this is how many cycles we've been. That was their way of telling that we are at the age of marriage.
Right.
Right. Historians, they calculated from the Hijra time, and they calculated against the death of her older sister. 2 things. So if her sister died at this age, this many years after her marriage, then that
Yeah.
means she was at this age.
The problem with that, my
So
friend,
what
is
I'm trying to say is, then there's so many contexts that
Yeah.
I'm having to receive from you and accept them because I'm
Yeah, but
hoping
again,
you're the
it's-
expert in the Bible.
But my point is I defer to
How come
authorities.
you-
That's my point.
Yeah, how
The
come
early
you're not
Muslim
accepting-
authorities said exactly what I'm telling you.
Right.
Okay, put it this way. You can actually go, so you can look at tafsir. Okay, well, it starts from the Quran, right? Surah 65, ayah 4. That's where it's permissible to have sex with someone who's not yet reached puberty. You're aware of that?
Right, right, okay, tell me one thing. So,
Yeah, but do you know about that?
no, but what?
There is a verse in the Quran that makes it clear. Surah At-Talaq, the Book of Divorce,
Yeah.
Surah 65, ayah 4, where it says that it's permissible to divorce those who have not yet reached their menstrual cycle, their puberty. They're not reached puberty.
Yeah, because it would be. But I haven't read. Like I said, it's
Do you wanna
not-
read
it's-
it?
No. I'm sure. I'm not questioning it.
Okay,
If
well,
you're saying it's there, it might be there.
Okay.
But that, to me, that makes sense.
yeah, I mean, this is partly how they justify what Muhammad did, because the Quran says it's okay. And then that's what the tafsir all say the same. Ibn Abbas says this, Al-Jalalain, the two Jalals, they said the same. Ibn Kathir says the same. And then when you get out of the tafsir, you then go to Sharia, the reliance of the traveller. You can look at different the Safi manuals, Hanafi manuals.
but
Hanbali-
like I said-
you know what they say?
Yeah.
They say this is permissible largely because it was Sunnah. The Prophet did it. So it's
Okay.
acceptable, it's permissible.
Yeah, being permissible, you need to understand what the life back then was. When was the last?
You see, now you've gone into the Da'is say.
Buddy,
You're now
buddy,
saying,
in England,
well, back then it
let's-
was acceptable.
No, let's talk about in England.
Yeah.
What, like only a few years ago, this whole age and this and the other
Right.
has come into the play
Sure,
and has come
sure.
into the action.
Sure.
Right?
Let me. I think you're gonna have
just,
problems here because I will just condemn any man, English or not English, who has had sex with a child. I will
Buddy,
condemn that man.
Any man from
Do you
today,
understand that? 'Cause I'm
uh,
consistent with
yeah,
this.
No,
Yeah.
I fully understand
Right,
that.
right, right.
But guess what? Even Muslim men from today, they would go ahead and condemn anything like that
Yeah,
happening
they would.
today.
They would.
Right?
They would.
But the thing is,
You know, that's why
yeah,
there's a tension
But that is
because it's mentioned in the Quran.
no, that is because it's today. Life back.
Oh yeah, back then I don't think. Well, I don't know. I'm a bit torn about whether or not back then it was acceptable or not. But
I'll do
yeah.
a bit of a constructive debate, a bit of a table tennis back and forth.
Sure, yeah.
And like I said, this is only for knowledge and stuff like that. So, in England, at what age does every girl have to have a smear test?
I'm not sure to be honest with you.
I think it's about 23, 22, 21,
okay.
somewhere around that age. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, right? Why is that?
I don't know. I'm not looked into smear tests.
But every girl has to have it
Right.
at that age. In England, they start getting bombarded with letters from the GP that you have to come in
Sure,
for
but
a
again,
smear.
this isn't going to help with
No,
the context of Muhammad.
It's not about help. What I'm saying is the reason for that is because it proves that it doesn't prove. What I'm going to say is it's. Oh God, she's again screaming in the air, man. Right. Is because if there's any form of cancer at that age, right,
it can be detected.
it has to be detected and
Okay.
has to be treated and has to
Sure.
be right.
Yeah.
How many people do you think back in those days who didn't have tests?
Yeah.
What does that bring the life expectancy down to?
Probably 60 something.
Right, especially with girls. Now, how many girls were going undetected?
Right. I'm not sure how this really relates, but
Now, how it relates
you've reminded
is,
me
like,
of something.
Listen, again, this is another. Like I said, when I started looking into all of this,
Yeah.
there was different patterns
Yeah.
of everybody giving. Right.
Right, but it gets worse. Like, so okay, you know what the biggest indicator?
So if some woman is only going to live as far as like if some woman is only going to live as far as like 25 or 30.
No, that's not the case.
Right.
The average lifespan as a statistic is lowered because of child deaths. Once you remove child deaths, once you hit the age of like 10 and onwards, you're actually quite likely to live on for quite a long age. It's just that back then so many people died in childbirth that the average age is brought down to like 20 or 30 or something.
Right. So when
Right.
you're only going to live that long,
No. My point is that
the
once you
problem-
live,
no, no.
like once you're around 10,
problem
the odds of you
was-
living
the
to 50 and
problem-
60
yeah.
is pretty fair.
yeah. So at
Especially,
that time, So at that time, that's how people used to measure. So obviously it was the number one. Everyone used to be prepared for the life expectancy, for the short life expectancy, as well as they
Well,
also,
no, because
the measure.
once
the
you
measure-
become
but
like 10 and above, you
the
can now start
measurement-
thinking of living pretty much older. Yeah.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So a 10-year, like I said, a 10-year-old in a harsher environment can outperform
more physically-
exactly.
You know what's interesting?
Somebody who's not
Let
living
me-
in a
let
harsh
me add-
environment.
let me add this.
So that's why.
Let me just add this one quickly. The biggest indicator of what brings about early puberty, do you know what it is? It's your diet.
But diet, it's not just a diet.
The single biggest indicator
Yeah.
that talks about, like, because for example, we know that girls in the modern period get their period earlier than girls long time ago, and scientists have found out it's because of how good your diet is the biggest indicator of how early you will have your puberty. You'll begin your menstrual cycle, for example.
But
So back then,
yeah.
we know, one, because we can reason that the diet wasn't too great in Saudi Arabia then.
Right,
It wasn't a particularly lush area with fruits and things like that. That wasn't in there. Second of all, we know from hadith that Aisha was described as not weighing very much. There's a hadith where it talks about there was this thing they were going to put on, like, I think it was at the back of camels to transport her, but they didn't realize she wasn't in it because she didn't weigh much. They didn't realize.
All right, back those days, I'll ask you this question. So back in those days, how did they measure the maturity of a girl? Just answer me that. Through her?
And you can say through menstrual cycle, like
Everybody,
beginning.
you're right.
Yeah.
And how did they do it on the boys?
I don't know.
To the puberty.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Right.
you have to give it what the signs are of puberty, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you may say
So
like
some-
upper body
right,
strength
right.
or
So-
stuff like that.
so
Muscle
the-
development.
So the boys
okay.
were measured against that. The
Yeah.
girls were measured against that.
Right.
Simple.
Okay.
So
it looks as if
So how come the harsh environment and the
Yeah.
things that were taking place
Yeah.
back then
Yeah.
are being put on trial of what we know today?
Because that's moral relativism. You've just made an argument for moral relativism.
Yeah.
You're saying that something that happened back then in a different situation is not immoral. And I'm saying, wait, actually it is immoral because, like, in any situation, a 53-year-old having sex with a 9-year-old is immoral.
Well, like I said, we don't, like, again, when I looked at, we don't know whether it was that age. Buddy, you really need to work. What I would recommend you, it was lovely speaking to you, right?
Okay.
And because I got to move on now.
All right.
It was lovely speaking to you, but one thing I will say, please,
Yeah.
the 6 to 7 different points that I have studied on in the same.
Yeah, but respect, I've also heard these things.
Please.
They're not good. They're
No,
really-
no, but
And I've given you my points, and I think, scientifically speaking, it's not questionable that diet is the biggest indicator of how soon you have puberty.
I never said about that. What I'm saying is,
Okay, so it's likely that
harsher
Aisha hadn't reached
environment.
puberty then.
It's a harsher environment,
That doesn't add or change anything.
and vice
Yeah.
versa. Like I said,
Like there are harsh environments in Africa.
yeah,
Like,
so-
does that mean that it's permissible to have sex with a 9-year-old?
But who have we what goes on
see,
in their tribe and what is acceptable
it's
by them?
It's relativism then,
right?
isn't it?
It's what's acceptable
But
by them.
you're a theist.
It's down to them.
You're a theist. You're not meant to be making moral relativistic arguments for morality.
Well, no. Listen, if there's a certain tribe of Africa that is doing something,
You're fine with it.
no.
Right.
If they come and ask me about it,
Yeah.
me being today's man of
You won't
today's
condemn that.
today's knowledge, I'll be like, well, no.
You won't
It's-
condemn- come
no,
on.
don't do that.
Okay, you're
right?
saying don't do it.
And if
Okay.
they turn
Yeah.
around and say to me,
Yeah.
well, this is our tradition from thousands of years ago, I would turn around and say, well, people who set that tradition up, they have gone, they were of that time, they've done it, they've gone.
No, but
and
it's still their
they've
tradition.
closed away.
Yeah,
right?
it's still their tradition.
Still the tradition. Buddy, try coming up to 90% or 95%, or try coming up to a Muslim house and asking to marry a 9-year-old girl, and
Well,
you'll see the
they might-
response you'll get.
Right, but I think that's just Muslims are inconsistent because their prophet, Muhammad, we don't think he's a prophet, but you think he is. You think that he is the greatest example.
Okay, what makes you think he's not a prophet?
Well, I'll get to that in a sec, but let me just finish. You think that he is. You think he is the greatest example.
Should we move somewhere? It's getting very aggressive.
Hey, good to see you, man. How you doing? Good to see you. Can you just go? Oh. Yeah. You can just go get JC. Can you move the cameras a bit? We're gonna move a little bit. We're gonna move a little bit. It's because of the noise.
All the
Space.
yeah.
It's all right, don't worry.
See this one. I mean, all the crazies are like.
It's all right, bro. Carry on.
Okay. All right.
Mind you, out of
Do you want to wrap this
everybody-
up then?
One thing
'Cause
I
you're-
would like to say, out of
Yeah.
everybody over here,
Yeah,
Oh,
Iceman.
thank
do
you.
you know
Thank
what?
you.
Do you know what? One can sit in a dialogue with a man like.
That's how you're supposed to be in Speaker's Corner.
And you know what? And
Have a dialogue,
sink it
shouting
in.
and-
Sink it in. You know,
I
abuse
appreciate that, man.
and stuff like that.
yeah, I
It does
appreciate
not.
We're against that.
All it does is it brings out the abusive person in the other person. Look,
Yeah, that's true.
So, brother in humanity, I think that's a better
Speaker's Corner should be
example.
about dialogue, debate.
Yeah. You see, I think that you know that this is an act that you would condemn, and I know it's an act that I would condemn.
between
And I think
between
that-
two of us, him and a Muslim,
But be consistent,
we
brother.
condemn this.
Well, wait.
Is
Okay,
nonsense. We condemn this.
I'm
man.
also talking about Muhammad's having sex with Aisha when she was 9. You wouldn't accept that. I don't know if you have kids, but if you do, I'm sure you wouldn't allow anything like that at all. Neither would I.
In this, like I said, in this day and age, no, I wouldn't have. But if I
But
was
even
if I was back there, listen, we were in the time of back in those days.
But do you think he's the greatest of all for the Ummah? Do you think he's the greatest moral example for the Ummah?
Yes.
Even though he did that? Even though, I mean...
But if I was living in that time,
Yeah.
as if I was living in that time,
yeah.
for me, I would, number one, the harsh environment I'd be living in. Number two, the wars that were taking place left, right, and center. Right?
That's not an excuse, though.
No. It's not about excuse. It's not about
Yeah.
excuse. It's about that if I want, me myself as a child. Imagine me as a 10-year-old. So me as a 10-year-old, if I
Sorry, finish it.
me as a 10-year-old,
Yeah.
if I was, if I knew with the amount of wars going on around me that I might not live to see 15, I'd be the first one running up to my father, or at the age of 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be if you,
know-
haven't undergone puberty, right?
Well, exactly. I'll be like,
Right. So at the age of
but I
9...
will be the first. Like in that
Yeah.
time, if I know that there is a village pilfering, tongue twister,
Yeah.
all that going on, war going on, loot going on, people coming taking
Yeah.
villages and villages, bounties and all that going on. But me at the age of 10 or 12, I would be the first one going to my father saying, Dad, the minute I hit puberty, please marry me. Before I die, I want.
Right, okay, that's fine.
You know?
But it's not addressing the thing because Aisha was 9, so she certainly hadn't gone through puberty. It's very doubtful that she went through a menstrual cycle.
Right. The man, right. In like you said, you read the Quran
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
and the surahs and everything. Oh, right. So the equation of marriage is flawlessly spot on, and I'll tell you how. There are certain rules put in the way.
Okay.
Rule number 1: you cannot marry a girl if the girl says no.
Okay.
First of all,
Yeah.
foremost, right?
You see, that's problematic as well.
Hang on, right.
I can explain why.
Second rule:
But yeah.
the measurement of the puberty or the cycle,
Yeah.
right, for the female and puberty for the boy, that is in play, right? Thirdly,
But it isn't though.
No. Third, that's the mature, right? Thirdly, the permission of the parents,
Okay.
the adult, the grown-ups,
Sure.
who are the visors.
So,
right?
okay, let me just go through some issues.
So when you put these three,
But there's problems with each of these three.
Right.
The first of
Right.
all is that Aisha, at the age of 6, and I know Muslims in this park who would agree with this actually, could not have given consent at the age of 6
yeah,
for a marriage.
but then again, what we like I said, what certain imam and what we would argue is,
Yeah.
well, which 6 is it? Is it the 6 after the the 6
but we know-
puberty
well, that's
cycles? Well, that's something you have listened.
No, I have considered it. I've weighed it up against all of the scholars, and all of the Islamic scholars say
Yeah.
no.
So no.
what is-
Listen,
yeah.
look at if you want to look at the scholar that is mentioning how the age was. So 6 cycles of that, right? Number 1. Number 2. Sorry, just skipped my brain.
So one of them that you mentioned. Okay, so you said the puberty
So
plays a
that,
factor.
as well
into
as,
it.
like I said, please find out what was the age of her older sister when she died.
I've
because-
heard this as well.
Because through the age of her older sister,
Oh, yeah.
right? Look, imagine if I have, imagine I'm a 50-year-old man, and I have a 30-year-old brother, and I die at the age of 70. How old is he when I died?
Well, I understand what you're getting at because I've
Right.
read the same arguments.
Exactly.
But the same
So how
arguments were
come-
never
listen,
made
listen,
in the early
listen.
Islamic periods.
So what I'm trying to say is,
Yeah.
like I'm accepting your argument about what you said about Jesus, about this, about
Yeah,
that, about
yeah.
STDs and all that stuff.
Yeah, you can check all that stuff out, yeah.
When I'm accepting it,
Yeah.
so how come you are not willing to accept what these historians are
It's not
talking
that-
about, but
well,
you choose to accept
It's
the
because
worst
I've,
out of all of them
I've
because
no,
it sounds...
it's not the word. It's literally the most commonly held, most
Yeah.
oft-repeated opinion that goes unchallenged by all of the early Islamic historians. No one doubts this. Ibn Ashaq would affirm this. Al-Tabari affirms this. Like what? It comes to a point where what am I supposed to do? I look at the tafsir of like the verses, and even they talk about the context.
No,
They'll talk about Al-Talaq Ayah 4 and they say, this is permissible, it's Sunnah, we know this because Muhammad with the Aisha, and it's like, well,
yeah.
what do you want to do? You know?
But then, like I said, again, it all comes down to, again, like if you really want to take only that route, and that's the only route you want to take.
Well, that's all of Islam. Like, I don't know how to go out of that. I don't know where I'd go. Like, you're basically saying, the Quran, don't take that. Don't take the tafsirs of the Quran. Don't take the Sharia. Don't take the Hadith. Like, don't take the most authentic Hadith.
No.
Don't take the thing that has multiple narrations. And I'm like, well, in that case, then I don't know what you're talking about.
What I'm saying is to broaden.
I mean, that's pretty broad.
Right. If I was to broaden mine, look, the fact that I've accepted what you said about the Bible and all that, and then even I'm
but I'll go show you.
But I'm even I'm going to go and study it in my own time.
Okay,
right?
all right.
I trust me, I don't leave anything on it. Left in there and just leave it as a. So I will go and study that, right? But the fact that I've accepted it because it's given me a bit of a broaden right to look into that side of the thing.
Yeah.
But the same way I've given the same thing to you.
That's fine. I'll be cautious because some of the things you've brought up are tropes from a Islamic perspective that comes from Da'is here. Like pretty much all the topics you've mentioned are things that they mention, which worries me because it gives me an indication that perhaps you're not studying this.
To that I have one answer.
Sure.
Right. So when we get to a point where we are not sure about something, then as long as we are worshipping the right God, certain things are only left and certain matters are only left for God to judge on the day of judgment. Right? We as Muslims believe Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, right, won't have married Bibi Aisha if he was not instructed by the God. He did not marry anybody until right?
Well, the problem is if he was instructed by God to do it, it will be included as part of revelation, right?
Yeah.
Because when Muhammad is told something, it's included in the Quran. There are many cases of that, and people record that was a situation in which the revelation came down.
So we just have to leave that for the day of judgment.
Right. Okay. But the point is that I don't think God, even in the Islamic tradition, did tell Muhammad to do this. I think Muhammad just did this. I think it's justified in Surah Al-Talaq Ayah 4. I think that is how it's justified in Muhammad's perspective. But there's no direct revelation that says, Muhammad, you are now to marry Aisha.
Right.
If you could show me that, I'd be interested. But as far as I'm aware, there isn't.
What I can show you is that everything, and if that does exist, somebody a lot more
Sure, so maybe someone
scholarly and a lot more professional, like Hamza and all these people that come here, you know, they would know. But as far as I know, and from what I know, everything, like even whether it's a marriage or not, everything was instructed to him through God and only through that way. But listen, even as a Muslim, there are certain things away from these matters.
Yeah.
There are certain things that I do. Being an amateur, I do have a questions. And then when I speak to one imam, is one thing. You speak to another imam, it's another thing, right? But as long as I'm worshipping the right God, my faith is with the right. I'm worshipping.
I understand the sincerity of that, but I'll question whether you are worshipping.
There are certain things they will only be. There are certain. Like I said, I'm convinced about the age bit. Okay. I'm convinced on that she was not the age that's mentioned. I think there is some. I think when she says whether it's a 6 or whether it's 9, it's to do with the.
Well, 6 is betrothed, 9 is consummated, right?
Right. So like I said, on the age side of things, I'm convinced on that.
Right.
But if you obviously beg to differ, which you have, all you know.
Yeah. Well, I take the standard perspective.
So we will find out. So we will find the truth about that on the day of judgment.
Right. Right. See, for me, I think it's an issue because I think it's an immoral act that Muhammad did not get divine revelation to do. That's my issue. Because what that would mean, ultimately, is that the Quran is wrong when it says that Muhammad is the greatest moral example.
Okay, sorry, so in a simple English, English ain't bad.
So,
right.
So what means?
So you're trying to say that, your last point was that then Prophet Muhammad did not get the revelation from the Archangel Gabriel.
Well, ultimately, yeah, it would show that Islam is false.
Saying that. Okay, well, I have the same thing. So how can I believe Paul did see Jesus and said, "Oh, let go"? You prove me that, I'll prove you. So those two, they're in the same.
Really? You consider those equal? Well, you know that. Well, I mean, put it this way.
For me, I'm convinced.
But okay, so let's go through the narration of the Hira cave. Muhammad didn't know what he was witnessing, right? I mentioned something. So let's contrast these two, right?
Okay.
Paul's witnessed his vision, right, on the road to Damascus.
Or a dream.
And
dream vision, whether he
well, no, it's a
whether he
vision.
fell asleep or whatever. Okay,
Well, it doesn't say it was a dream.
Okay,
But anyway,
okay, that's fine.
if we take the vision on Damascus
Yeah.
and then we contrast it with what happened in the Hira cave.
And there is no
In,
witnesses.
well, one second.
Yeah, there is no witnesses.
There were people with him at the
According
time.
to him.
There were witnesses according to the time.
Who they are? Who
I
they
see.
are?
Now he wants to
Give
debate
me
me.
one name.
See, this is the
Give me
thing.
one name.
Because he doesn't want me to debate you.
No, no, that's
He's
fine.
worried.
No, no.
brother,
worried.
Give
brother.
me one of the name of the witnesses.
Okay.
Give me one name.
So anyway, let me just answer you.
Four.
I'll address with you. I'll address.
Himself.
Watch this. I'll address. Wait.
Brother, I did say to him. He
It's
said.
like me. I'm telling
I will-
you.
I will
you know,
debate him.
with
He
me,
said
with
right
me.
after.
He said the Archangel Gabriel was not the one in the cave.
Yeah.
I said, well, for me, then how can I
Yes,
believe Paul
Let's
was?
talk about it.
Question. That's
Let's
what
talk.
he had
Let's
to
talk about
answer.
it. Let's talk about it. Okay.
That's what he was
So,
answer, and he running away to
no,
tell you
I'm
what is in-
answering this question. Okay. So first of all, Muhammad didn't believe it was Jibril.
Sorry, Muhammad.
Muhammad didn't believe it was Jibril.
Okay.
He thought it was some demon.
Well, for the first, when the first.
Okay.
Yeah. And he ran out. He ran out in terror.
No.
Okay,
He
where
did-
he said
Wait,
that.
Where
he said that was demon.
Prophet
wait.
Muhammad did not say, oh,
He
I
thought,
said
he
it.
thought it was something bad.
Where he said it.
That's
Where he
what it
said it.
says.
Oh, you
Where
lied
does
when
it
you
say?
said he's demon.
Okay. Well,
You lied
it's
when
in your
you said he's
sources
demon.
like this. You know this, right?
Okay,
Okay.
right. He was
Where he
scared.
said, okay.
Okay. So he knows it. So he
Wait,
agrees
wait,
with me.
brother.
Thank
brother,
you, Sammy.
Please, 1 second.
No. See,
Where he said
doesn't want
that
you
the
to talk
Prophet
to me.
Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he thought that
See, this
that
is-
was a
there you
thing,
go.
bad thing.
See,
I know,
I'm
he-
lying.
See, wait.
He just-
Wait, you
where
were,
he said
wait.
it,
We
where
were
he
we
said
were
it was
calling
bad
out.
thing.
We were calling out bad behavior in the park. area.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is an example of it.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, example, because you can't
See,
answer.
see.
Show me where he was.
Get your camera
Okay.
out. Get your camera out.
Show me.
Get your camera out.
Show me.
Get your camera out.
Is here. Is here your camera?
Well, get yours.
Is there a camera?
I like your camera. Get your camera.
Show me where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam he said that he thought that something bad.
Okay,
and
let's
show
continue.
Me where
let's
he said
continue
he's
this.
demon.
He's already agreed with me about what I've said. He hasn't challenged that
Okay,
because he
show
knows
me
it's
where he
correct.
said that.
He knows it's correct.
Show me where he said
I've
that.
challenged the demon part.
Okay.
Can you show me where
Ibn
he said that?
Asak, Surah Al-Rasulullah.
Okay, show me.
I just said you, Ibn Asak.
Go ahead.
Surah
Ibn
Rasulullah.
Ishaq is a book, it's a volume.
Yes, it's your earliest
Which page?
historian.
Page.
What, go read
Give me
it.
the page.
Go read it. It's
Go
on
with
one of the
page.
pages.
Your liar is
It's
not
on one
there.
of the
I'm
pages.
telling you, you are liar.
How do you
I'm
know? You haven't
challenging
read it. You haven't read
I
it.
read it. I read Ibn
Oh,
Ishaq,
really?
and I read
Really?
Ibn Hisham.
Oh,
Show me where
really?
he said
You
it.
read Ibn
Yes.
Hisham as well? Oh,
Yes,
wow,
and
very
they can
good.
show you
Okay.
where Jibril
Okay,
alayhi salam,
sure,
he said
tell
to
me,
him, I'm
tell me.
Jibril.
Yeah.
I'm Jibril.
Oh,
Stop
eventually he
lying.
does. Yeah,
Yeah,
eventually he
he-
does. But Muhammad didn't believe him.
Say, okay, show me where he didn't believe
Okay.
him.
Okay, you already. Okay, let's go forward.
Okay.
on this, 'cause
No,
he's just- he's just
no,
been
go with it.
Wait.
Show me where he said,
Wait.
where he thought that is a demon, and show me where he thought that is something bad because he changed it to bad, and show me where he didn't believe him.
Yeah.
You
those-
see, three lies.
But the two.
Three
right,
lies.
Okay.
Shame on you.
Put the
Shame
relevant
on you.
material on screen where it says exactly that.
Show
Muhammad
me.
did not accept that it was Jibril on the first occasion that he saw
Show
the
me.
Hira cave.
Show me where he said that
There
is
you are.
bad demon,
See,
or
there you
he
are.
didn't believe
It's
him.
Sam Dawah,
Show
ladies
me.
and gentlemen.
Show me.
Sam Dawah.
I'm only a cameraman. I'm only a cameraman.
Oh, he's only a
Sam Dawah.
cameraman. That's why he's
You're
trying to
lying.
debate.
You're a
That's
liar.
why he's trying to debate.
You're a liar.
You already
Show
said
me.
you read Ibn Ishaq,
Oh,
you cameraman.
oh, ad hominem. He turned back to me instead of answering my question. He turned back. You see
But
how they
I-
are? They are hypocrites.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
okay.
Show me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chris.
All right, then.
Where
See, I'm
is
going to do
he
this now
demon?
because you're being like.
I'm not gay. I'm not gay. Go away.
Okay,
Go
that's
away.
fine,
Why
that's
you
fine,
give me
that's
your
fine.
bottom?
Brother.
Why you give me? Disrespectful. This is
Are you
Christianity.
interested,
Is this how Jesus
All right.
teach you?
Okay. Let's
Is
just
this
have a
how
conversation,
Jesus-
right?
okay.
And not
So-
going to do
so-
this.
Okay,
Okay.
Prophet Muhammad
So,
did not.
Okay, so initially
Where he
he
said
did
that
not
he's
believe it
demon,
was Jibril.
It was-
Where
Okay.
he said that
he
bad
was
thing,
he was choked
and where he
initially,
he
yes,
didn't believe
on
him.
multiple occasions.
A liar.
Jibril told him to do something that he should have known he couldn't do, which is that he.
He's gone.
He-
Right,
okay,
come
so there we
back.
go.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay.
so the
it-
reason why I doubt the narration about what happened in the Hira cave is because even by Islamic standards, it's very sketchy. In all honesty,
Okay. It's not
Right?
right. Let me. Now.
because you know from the Christian and Jewish tradition, when
Okay.
Jibril appears, they're not like running in fear for their life.
No. It's not. It's
They're
right.
initially scared, and then
So
the
let me-
Jibril
let-
says,
let me
like, peace be
answer.
with you.
Let
I
me
am-
answer.
yeah.
Yes, let me
Yeah.
answer that. Okay. Oh, stomach. Right. Basically, yeah, he on 2 points he was right. 3 points, which was the demon part. It doesn't say anywhere.
No. I said it was something bad, like a
Right.
bad spirit or something.
Something
like
about
that,
bad spirit.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that either.
But you agreed with me on it initially until you said it.
No. The third one, right? Yes. Wait. The third one, where I do agree with you,
Yeah.
is even as a child, even I read that as well, which was yes, he was scared, but so was Moses when he was approaching the fire in the bush. Was he not?
Hang on.
Was he
I'm
not a
just gonna
bit
try and find this.
worried? Was he not a bit?
All right, I found the hadith. It's in Sahih al-Bukhari. It's Sahih al-Bukhari. Oh wow, is it really? It's Sahih al-Bukhari 3. And it literally includes a narration where he goes home and he talks about. Hang on, sorry, 1 second. Cover me, cover me. They covered him till all his fear was over, and that he told me everything. So yeah, he obviously didn't think it was an angel. He was terrified.
Well, like I said, even I even I read that as well, right? But it does not say the demon. It does not say bad. But what reaction? Listen, tell me this.
But let me read it, because you're trying to say.
From one person to another. Like I said, I'm
sure.
sure.
You challenge this. Now I want to look at the evidence.
I'm telling. What was the reaction of Moses when he came?
I'll answer that. Let's just find the evidence,
When he came
man.
near
Let's
the
find the
fire.
evidence.
I think we've gone off the top.
Well, we've gone to a few different things.
Oh God.
I fear that something may happen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he obviously didn't think this was a good thing.
But he's been surprised with the presence of an archangel.
And he's been choked.
Right.
If you're getting choked, right, by someone who's telling you to read something when you cannot read, I'm probably going to think that's something bad, right?
Okay.
In all honesty, I think that's something demonic, because I'll be like, you're telling me to do something you know I cannot do, so that's suspicious. You're then choking me to severe agony. That's pretty bad.
Okay.
You run and you leave in fear. You ask Khadija, your wife, to cover you and to put a blanket over you because of how you feel about that. And it's only after you visit Waraka that you actually get told, no, it's an angel. Because remember, it's Jibreel. Because it's only Waraka that tells him this.
Okay.
It's a Christian that convinces Muhammad that it's not anything bad. It's something good.
Okay. Well.
Okay, so is that debunk that then?
Well, not about the demon and the bad part.
Wait, of course it debunks the bad part.
Listen.
Wait, he was choking him.
Let me tell you one thing.
I think you were just playing word games.
I'm not. Well, no. I'm not gonna. Yeah, the fact that the word game has started now, we really want to go into that nitty-gritty forensics.
It's not nitty-gritty. The guy was choked. It's obviously something bad. The guy was crying in fear. He had to ask his wife to cover him.
He said he felt choked. Right?
No, he was
He didn't
choked.
say that I was being choked and I could not breathe and the lungs were coming out of my ears. He didn't say any of that, did he? Plus, he's just come in the presence of...
Thereupon, he caught me again and pressed me a second time. So it's the physical, actual thing he's doing. Until I could not bear it anymore. He then released me and asked me again to read. But again I replied, I do not know how to read. What shall I read? Thereupon he caught me for the third time and pressed me, and then he released me.
Yeah, and then carry on reading.
Read in the name of your Lord, who has created all that exists, created man.
Yeah.
Yep. Then Allah's messenger returned with the inspiration and his heart beating severely.
Yeah.
Then he went to Khadija and said, cover me, cover me. They covered him till his fear was all over. And he told her everything that had happened and said, I fear that something may happen to me. Khadija replied, never, by Allah, Allah will never disgrace you. So yeah, he thought it was bad.
Right.
His wife had to try and comfort him.
Yeah, but he...
Okay, so he thought it was something bad.
Right.
That's it then.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, back to what we were talking about.
Okay.
So yeah, we were talking about Paul and...
Okay, oh sorry, it's contrasting it, right? So I would sooner believe that Paul had a genuine vision, long before I believe the story about the cave. First of all, there were people around Paul at the time
And
who
they saw
recorded
the same vision?
They didn't see the same vision, but they
Well,
saw
there
a
you
light
go.
or they heard something, if I remember correctly.
Cool.
So they saw
there we
something.
go. So they didn't hear, so only he did.
But what about Muhammad though? There was nothing that saw Muhammad either.
Well, yeah, because he's a prophet and Paul was not a prophet,
Okay.
right? Angels can only be seen by the prophets.
Angels can only be seen by the prophets.
By the prophets. The whole message saying from the God to the archangel to the prophet gives it to the people.
I'm not necessarily
Nobody.
sure if that's
Right.
true.
I gotta go now.
All right.
See you later.
Well, have a
All
nice
right?
chat. But yeah, all right, God bless. Had a nice chat with a Muslim gentleman. What was your name? Sorry, I didn't get Ali. All right, nice chatting with you, Ali. We talked about multiple different topics. A lot of it, I think, came from the Dawah script. So Numbers 31:18, that was brought up. The age of Mary as well, contrasting that with the age of Aisha. He had this opinion that the age of Aisha, the different narrations, are not something that are reliable, that we find in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim and so on, but rather that there are other reasons that can call that into doubt. I pointed out that actually the earlier scholars, the Islamic scholars, did believe that she was 6 when she was betrothed and 9 when she was married. And I think that from an Islamic point of view, is the data that you should go with and not later, more modern interpretations. And so for that reason, I think that Islam is not true, because I don't think it morally good for a prophet to have sex with a 9-year-old. And also, I don't think he was told by God to do it either. which is also problematic. Anyway, we had a lovely chat, and he was a lovely, polite man, and hopefully he thinks about the things that we've talked about, and hopefully I see Ali again and we can have another chat. God bless. Take care.